Welcome back, guys, to the channel. And as you see in the title, I'm doing my first English video because normally I do sociology. I don't know if I've ever done media, but if you don't know, I do A-level English, Literature and Language AQA 7707/1 specification, and my first exam is in 8 days. So we are going to do some Handmaids tale revision. Even though it's my strongest boot in the suit, I just need to get some Handmaids tale revision so that I can prioritize. So in like the past half an hour, I've done some mind maps and topped up some of my notes. So we'll be going over first is the significances. So I'd say that in Handmaids, you need to have a very specific structure that has everything they need, like everything they're asking for. So you need to like link to the question, link to themes, link to characters, quotes, analysis of the quotes. The devices use terminology that links like homodiegetic narrative and like dystopia, like just terminology and words that really link to the book, and fantasy elements, of course, and context, real life context and context of the time. You could talk and outwards intentions. So let's start with gender and patriarchy significances. The first significance that I noticed, let me get a highlighter so I can like write it out, is that patriarchy is used as a system of control in Gilead. Atwood uses this significance to warn against theocratic and authoritarian regimes. Those two words, theocratic and authoritarian, it's also going to include as terminology. These kind of regimes exploit traditional gender roles to control. This reflects fear about erosion of women's rights and the misuse of religion and politics to enrich inequality. That is the first significance. Patriarchy is a system of control. The next one is that patriarchy in Gilead causes a loss of identity and autonomy, as patriarchal systems deny women's full selfhood, reducing them to their biological roles, like in the ceremony when they're just they only cover half of their body, or when they go to the doctors they have to cover half of their body, stuff like that, because they don't need to see their face, they don't want to see their face, all they care about is their punani and the things the punani can produce. This significant also explores psychological impacts of being seen as property. The next significance is that gender and patriarchy in Gilead suppresses resistance, but also causes resistance of female solidarity, because this shows, like, you know how Moira tried to escape, how Fred was trying to like get through, and like Mayday and all that. It's like a resistance is always possible, even in small acts like just Moira being a raging lesbian. And patriarchy is never absolute, because look at Moira, no one called her by her name, like Offred, Offglen, Off whatever. They called her Moira to go against like the idea of Gilead taking away everything that they have. And the final significance is that it has contemporary parallels to history, like how the story grounds to reality, reminding readers that rights aren't guaranteed and can be taken away. Like, look at ICE, they're literally detaining them in centres, and they're I'm not gonna say what they're doing, but it rhymes with grapes, and it's not okay. And what they're doing, like, they're taking away everything that they have, like they've taken away their homes, they've taken away their right to leave, they've taken away and it's just sad. The book becomes a powerful feminist critique and cautionary tale. It's warning us these contemporary parallels of patriarchy and the way men treat women in Gilead is a warning to us of what's going to happen in real life, and it's happening now. Because look at Sharia law, for example, at the AO2. Sharia law where men in like countries like Iran, men have ownership over their wives. Men decide what women do, when they do it, especially in like certain situations, like if they want to leave their country, they're not allowed. Okay, so that is significances. Now let's go over context. This is the AO2 that I was like referring to already, but now we're going to go into more depth. Okay, so the first one is Sharia law. We'll start with that because I just did it. It's in Islamic law where authority is structured through dominant male roles. Inequality is justified by tradition and religion. Gender differences are socially and legal and legally evident. Like there's a hierarchy of men to women. Like it's normalized for men to hit women, hit their wives, and yeah. This links to Handmaids because both systems use religion to make gender inequality appear divinely, sorry. Ordered rather than socially constructed. Next context of Malala. If you don't know her, why? Basically, in context, Malala was a girl in Pakistan, and schools banned there for education. So when she tried to go to school, and she denied, the Taliban was like, you can't go to school, just get off the bus. She's like, no, they just shot her, and she was restricted for being a girl trying to attend school. And how does this link to Handmaids? First of all, it links to the aunts having cattle prods, physical weapons to discipline and reinforce fear to maintain the gender inequalities so that women don't go against men. This also links to Handmaids as men themselves try to silence women's voices, and when speaking out, they're silenced through agency and physical actions. Another context is the Puritan England, which was a strict theocratic patriarchy that had colonies to dictate women's actions, to tell them off and to strike them if they were bad or good. This shows how patriarchal structures can dehumanize people, just like in Gilead. The loss of autonomy and the identity is taken away because of the names of Fred, of Glenn. Like the word of is like ownership of, like the ownership, like owned by. And then second wave feminism is also a really, really good one because this was like 19... I'm not answering that call yet because I'm focusing on my exam. 80, sorry, yeah. Because feminist movements at the time, second wave feminism, was fighting for abortion, workplace equality, and freedom of gender-based violence against right-winged political stance and conservatism. This links to Handmaid because Gilead does the same, but in a more exaggerated way, because Offred's mum was a feminist that was protesting, and then she was killed, and now look at what happened when they tried to rebel. And that's what Atwood is trying to say. She's trying to say, even though people are taking a stand and writing, there has to be more done, because it's still going to happen today and tomorrow, and it still is right now. The last context is political context of the President Reagan in the US at the time Atwood was writing this, which was a time of rise in political conservatism. through debates on women's reproductive rights being intensified and the rise of pro-life changing abortion access, linking to Handmaids' obsession with fertility. This also links to Handmaid because, yeah, they do the same. Okay, and the last one is quotes. And this is a biggie. Let's get started. And I like quotes the best because I really like analysing. So the first one is the colour of blood which defines us. This is use of symbolism. What does this do? It symbolises fertility and sexual control, but also danger. Danger because of the colorism of red, which marks women as their value to be in reproduction. The symbolism also shows how oppression is constant, that even Offred believes it, like she's stating it through her own internalized idea of herself. The next quote is, "My nakedness is strange to me already." This is visual imagery because Offred alienates herself because she is so indoctrinated by Gilead's regime. This also presents the psychological toll on women and handmaids in general to feel disassociated from their own identity and like womanhood and selfhood. The next quote is, "I would like to believe this is a story I'm telling. I need to believe it. I must believe it." This is the Atwood uses first person narrative. Why? Because patriarchy. This shows how patriarchy in Gilead and in real life destabilizes the mind to only conform to the ideas of the ruling class, which is men. This shows how readers can experience Offred's mental instability. Next quote, "Blessed be the fruit." There are two devices, irony and repetition. The thing itself is irony, but is also repeated many times in the book. This exposes patriarchal regimes manipulating language. They do this to justify oppression of women, because it's subtle. No one can tell. Like they're saying, "Oh, you have to say this," and they'll be like, "Okay," but they don't know that this is slowly how they take control because they're being passive. They're saying what they want them to say, then they're gonna do what they want them to do, and that's just how it begins. The next one is also got two devices, which is repetition, as it's also commonly used as a phrase in Gilead, like more than once, more than 3 times, more than 5 times, and it's under his eye. This is also a metaphor which emphasizes the constant surveillance to reinforce control over women. The use of the use of the pronoun his is it's meant to be directed to God, but it indirectly, subtly is talking about the men in Gilead. The men are always watching the women in Gilead, and that's also where they use religion to frame their own oppression that they want to apply to women and the handmaids. Next quote. This is a really important one, especially in terms of if you're talking about women or like this quote or like the theme of gender and patriarchy. But if you're not talking about any of the characters, you can literally use this quote. "We are two-legged wombs, that's all." The metaphor of this reduces women to their reproductive rights, where men in Gilead view women as mere vessels for childbearing, stripping them of any identity and any selfhood. This is a pretty simple one, and you can definitely go into more depth, but I don't want to elongate this. Okay, next one is like Alexis, or like addiction, not addiction, DICTION, diction of words that are used in Gilead. Yeah, it's like their slang. It's not slang, but like it's like their terminology. They use words like unwomen to describe women who go against the regime. The ceremony, which is an event that occurs to impregnate the women. Stop calling me, I'm sorry, I'm revising. And then the salvaging, I forgot what that is. But it's a bureaucratic language which acts as a brutal lexis to enforce regimes' rigid patriarchal order. The quote, and then the next quote, give me children or else I die. Also very good. They use it as an imperative mood to highlight the internalized patriarchal values where women's worth lies in childbearing. Next quote. For our purposes, your feet and hands are not essential. This basically strips the entire autonomy to being just their punani, because that's where the baby is made and the baby is born. This presents patriarchy. This is also a declarative to declare that to present patriarchy as rational and dehumanized. It's a part of a system to control. Okay, guys, and the last quote is, you don't see commanders' wives on the sidewalk. This sounds like it doesn't seem like nothing, but it's a negative declarative showing how patriarchy operates through invisible boundaries, normalizing female confinement as natural. And that's it for my video, guys. I hope you like the video. Like and subscribe, comment, and let me know if it was helpful. If you want to do a different theme, which I probably will do for my own benefit. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.